No again. I sometimes feel like one of those High Court judges in the 1960s who would demand perilously in court, "Who are these rolling stones about whom you are talking?" It is, I suppose, inevitable that as one grows older, the latest fads and fancies in popular culture should begin to pass one by unnoticed. Which is simply a long-winded way of saying that when I saw headlines in the newspapers about a man called Gregg Wallace, I literally had no idea at all who he was. Was he a pop singer, politician, a newspaper editor, or what? He is, it turns out, a cook who appears in some talent contest on the television, which seems to be a cross between the Generation Game and Opportunity Not. Well, you live and learn. Apparently he is accused by 13 women of saying and doing what are coyly referred to these days as inappropriate things, which is generally code for being smutty. In this case, all it seems to amount to is that a middle-aged man has behaved as so many middle-aged men tend to do, in a way which is irritating, offensive, or embarrassing to women. He has discussed his sex life loudly. It appears he's been crass enough to ask a lesbian what she actually does with her girlfriend, that kind of thing. There's nothing really out of the ordinary about this, and although such behaviour can be embarrassing and a bit of a nuisance, most grown women usually manage to take it in their stride. What fascinates me is that this comparatively trivial series of events should be getting headlines in all the British newspapers and also trending on Twitter as hashtag middle class women of a certain age. This is a reference to the dismissive attitude which his fellow adopted towards those who have objected to his conduct. He said that all those who complained fell into this category. What I find intriguing about this affair is that it comes just at the same time as a number of crucial developments in both domestic and international affairs, and yet the mainstream media are pushing this to the forefront as though it is of far more significance than, say, the Russians bombing the Syrian city of Haleb, or Aleppo as it is known in this country. Seriously, Russian aircraft are in action in the Middle East, and that only rates a footnote compared with a middle-aged cook who comes out of the lavatory with his shirt unbuttoned. Is a man who talks in a sleazy way to grown women really more important than the legalisation of euthanasia in this country? It looks to me as though this is almost a staged episode which is intended to distract our attention from 101 more important things which are going on. It is a sideshow, a distraction, which means that instead of taking an intelligent interest in politics or international affairs, we can wring our hands and complain that the BBC is not keeping women safe. There's been a great deal more fuss and outrage about this matter than about, say, young girls being exploited and abused by grooming gangs, to give one instance. And it really looks as though the whole thing is a bit of a put-up job. That is not to say that the man concerned is not a sleaze bucket, of course. For all I know to the contrary, that may well be the case. What I am saying, though, is that for all our attention to be focused on a relatively trifling case such as this, means that our attention is being diverted from all kinds of things of far greater moment. It is a classic piece of misdirection of the kind in which conjurers engage when they wish you to look somewhere else while they are palming a card or producing a rabbit from a hat. When we see a circus like this being orchestrated, we need to ask ourselves at once, what is it we should be looking at? Why is our attention being distracted in this fashion?